Welcome back, Analytics Advantage. Thank you for joining me. We are getting super close to football being back on our televisions. We actually have, from today, the day I'm recording this, which is the 12th, I believe it's like 24 days before we have the Hall of Fame game. I know, it's not great. I'm not going to really bet that game in particular, but I just want to see football on TV. And I guess if I had to say I'm a fan of a particular team, I'm the Cowboys fan. I mean, so hate me for it if you want, but that being said, football is coming back. Today's video is going to be what I personally think is the most helpful video of the entire offseason. I think it's the most informative piece I'm probably going to give you all offseason. It's going to cover every scheduling advantage that is something that we can bet on throughout the first 8 weeks of the season. I can make another video for you guys if you're interested in seeing these, but my main objective for today is to show you what advantages we're looking for, why they are advantages, the trends that we're following with these advantages, and certain just like quirks, if you want to call them that, with different teams and different times of the year and different travel things that happen with the schedule. In case you didn't know this already, one of the biggest differences between teams throughout the NFL is scheduling. And the reason I say that is because talent-wise, we usually have a pretty fair distribution of talent across the board. I mean, even teams that are just, traditionally bad teams have good players. I mean, they're NFL caliber players. Their coach might be terrible, and that's, something that can be addressed, but that's something that's hard to kind of determine. It's hard to put a number on, even though I do have a way of doing it, and Warren Sharp has a way of doing it. But for the most part, that's not something you can see by just watching a game. That being said, playing talent is relatively similar. Coaching, let's say it's at least somewhat similar from team A to team B. But what does change and affect the outcome of games is your schedule. Some teams just have really bad breaks, and it might just be once or twice throughout the season, but these are really bad times for these teams to be playing, or bad situations, or whatever it may be, and it gives us a really good opportunity to take advantage of something and to just kind of get the best number as soon as we can before the general public comes in and before the books start adjusting their lines to kind of compensate for these little quirks within the schedule. So the first one here, and this is the very first game to open the season, is the Cowboys at the Bucs. It is a Thursday night football game. These Thursday night football games, it's a little bit different with the very first one because there's not really like a rest advantage issue. Both of these teams obviously are just coming off the offseason. They haven't really had any issues with, hey, we played on Sunday and now we're turning around and playing on a Thursday. This is their first game. But what I will say is, even including these first games where there's no, real rest advantage per se, of the teams, and this goes back for 2+ years, of the teams that play on Thursday night football, the home team really only loses in one of two situations. That is, one, the team is a bad team. Teams that finish under 500 will lose on Thursday night football, whether they're at home or away, it doesn't matter because they're a bad team. But good teams who are finishing above 500 or are expected to finish above 500 for the year only lose 13% of the time at home on Thursday night football. And I will even put a caveat on that. It's very specific already, but on top of that, those times that they lose have traditionally been against divisional opponents. There's only one time in the last 2 years that a home team has lost while they are over 500 or finished over 500, and it was not a divisional game, and that was the Eagles upsetting the Packers on a Thursday night football game in 2019 Week 4, and that was just a true upset. It has not happened again. There's been times where teams who finished the season 8-8 lost, and even at that, it was only 2 times. And for the most part, like I said, it's out of 30 games in the last 2 years, only 4 teams that have finished 8-8 or better have lost at home on a Thursday night football game. The Bucs, again, obviously, there's no concrete way of telling you this, but assuming everybody stays healthy and the coach is still there and everybody, the staff is still there, Bucs are expected to go above 500 this year, and I don't see them losing to the Cowboys week 1. That all being said, I would take that, but it's kind of hard to bet them on the money line because they are minus 261, at least right now. That could change, and honestly, I think it might get worse before it gets any better. Right now, if you're taking the spread, it's minus 6.5. I actually don't mind the minus 6.5. If you absolutely wanted to tease it down, you could, but you're already getting the key number of 7, so I don't mind that either. But as far as the stat that I'm giving you, it's just for straight up wins. So the Bucs will win week 1. I'm sure I'm not breaking any news here. But keep that stat in mind because that is going to come up again and again throughout the season. And just remind yourself, if you see a home team playing on Thursday Night Football, you got to ask yourself 2 questions. Are they a decent team that I think will finish at least at 500? Okay, yes, that's one check mark. Secondly, is it a divisional game? If it is not a divisional game, you should lay some money on that money line for the home team. And if they are an underdog, definitely take that money line and maybe even sprinkle some on the spread just to be safe. That being said, let's go to the next one. Also week 1, Jacksonville at the Texans. Now this stat, I did not include last year's numbers because it was a little odd just due to COVID. But aside from that, the home dogs have a record of 8-30-3 going under in week 1. The Texans fit that criteria. They are home dogs playing against Jacksonville, and I actually already gave this out as a pick if you're watching other videos. But again, that's why, or one of the reasons why I have them expected to go under 45.5. Next one is the Packers at the Saints. This is really kind of a 2-for-1 here. So the Saints, as of last year, at the end of last year, Saints only cover 36% of the time when they are playing at home. So if the Saints are at home, you have a better than not chance of just blindly fading them to not cover the spread. Aside from that, the Saints are also 3-7 in the last 5 years when we look at just games 1 and 2. So they, in just the opening 2 games of the year in the last 5 years, they only have a 30% win record. There is no line on that game yet, and I'm really curious to see what the line comes out as. Obviously, they're not sure if Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing or not, which is really the main reason that there isn't a line. But aside from that, we also don't know who's going to be starting at quarterback for the Saints. When those 2 things get cleared up, we will have a line. I'm very curious to see what it is. If Aaron Rodgers is the starting quarterback for the Packers, which I would leaning towards, yes, he's going to be, you're probably going to see Packers, -1 or -3 or somewhere around there. And at that, I'm gonna lay the Packers. So I'll probably end up playing, Packers -1. Now, one caveat to that, and something to be very cognizant of: if the Saints name a starter before we get really, into the actual, regular season, if they name the starter like in preseason somewhere, and we're still not too sure on Aaron Rodgers, you might want to grab that number and just kind of get maybe lay like a half a unit or a quarter of a unit because you're not sure if Aaron Rodgers is going to play or not. But you might want to grab a number because it'll probably be like Saints -3, and if you can grab a Packers +3, I would do it while they put the number up there because I don't think it's going to be a very long-lived number, and I'm almost positive Aaron Rodgers is going to end up being the starting quarterback for the Packers. Let's go to the next one, and I'm going to tell you real quick, I'm sorry, this is probably going to be a longer video, guys. I thought about breaking this up week by week, but that is a lot of different detail to go through, and it's really best if I give you all the different variations and formations of different scheduling issues and quirks and kind of advantages so that you can really digest all of it. If needed, I can go back and we can break this into like a week by week kind of scenario. But like I said, I really just want to give you the full picture on what we're looking at here and each game throughout these first 8 weeks that you can find an advantage on. You don't have to bet all of them. I probably won't even bet all of them, but just be aware of these advantages. And again, you don't want to bet something just because of this one particular, stat or trend. but you do want to have it on your radar, and so that if you're doing your other handicapping and you already like a team, this should be kind of your confirmation to say, yes, I'm going to put some money down on that. I want to jump on that. Secondly, this is also where I like to start my handicapping for the week or for the upcoming week or weeks. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times you look at the schedule, or if you look at the following week and you're like, okay, well, who do I look at first? What handicapping do I want to throw in? Where do I really want to dig into? What games do I really want to place some money on? And if there's 16 games, on a non-bye week, it's kind of hard to pick a starting point. So this will give you a starting point to say, okay, I already kind of am leaning this way just because of the schedule. Let me see what my handicapping says. And if it does point you in that direction, then you just have, again, another confirmation to go forward with it. So next one here, Bears at Rams. Not too hard. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's a very late West Coast game. I believe this one's going to be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And the Bears, while they're not an East Coast team, to me, it doesn't really matter if you're from the actual, if you're from the East Coast, or if you're maybe just in that time zone, or even like in a even in a central time zone, like Chicago. The flight itself is just, it's not a quick like 20-minute flight, but then once you get there and you're having to play super late against somebody who that's their home turf, they're used to this time zone, and they're used to being that active at that time. And plus, you realize that once you get done with this game, you're not gonna just go back home. You got to get on the plane to go back home, and you're probably not gonna get back in your bed or even like in your city for quite some time. So it is an advantage. I would like the Rams in this particular game. Again, there's other reasons to pick the Rams, but this is just one advantage to be aware of. And really, I think that the Bears in general just they don't match up well with the Rams. But anyways, let's just stick to the scheduling advantages. So that's another one. Next one here, Ravens at the Raiders. So Ravens are 10-3 in openers since having John Harbaugh as their head coach. 10-3. That's ridiculous. That's a good one record. I don't care who you are. And of those 3 losses, 2 of those losses came against Denver in Denver to open the season. And the reason that's important is because the last 2 years, Denver has not really been good. But specifically to the beginning of the season, they have not been good. And the reason we bring that up is because for a while, one of the best home field advantages in the entire NFL was Denver in September. You had high altitude with high temperature still, humidity, and really just, not being conditioned yet. So the players are not in mid-season form yet, but they're being asked to go perform in thin air, high altitude, high temperatures. It's a bad mix. So you had teams coming in from all over the country to come try and play in Denver, and they were just getting wiped out, and you could tell they were tired and depleted by like halftime. In the last 2 years, that has not been the case. They've actually gone 0-4 in the last 2 years, but prior to that, they were 6-0. And in the last 2 years, if you're familiar with this, the Broncos have just not really been good. They've been a constantly rebuilding team. So that being said, the Ravens, again, 2 of their 3 losses came against Denver in Denver back when this home field advantage was a real thing, and the Denver Broncos were actually able to take advantage of it. So kind of put a grain of salt even on those 3 losses. If you take those out of there and kind of adjust for that crazy home field advantage, the only loss that they had was against the Bengals, which that was even a while back. Obviously, when the Bengals were a little bit of a better team. Let's see what Joe Burrow can do this year. But that being said, the Ravens smashed in the first game of the season. They're just amazing at starting the season. They love preseason. They actually put effort into it, and they're ready to rock and roll come week 1. They're ready to hit the ground running. So keep an eye on that, and just keep that in mind for future years, future openers with the Ravens. Let's keep going now. So week 2, and the first one for week 2 is Saints and Panthers. Again, going back to the Saints only being 3-7 in the last 5 years when it comes to opening for games 1 and 2. The Saints do cover 66% on the road, though, so kind of a mixed bag there. But if the Saints win the first game, there is a better chance that they are going to lose the second game, just following their stats over the last 5 years. So kind of, again, like all these guys, keep it in mind. Next, so Bengals at Chicago. We have a Monday night team playing the following Sunday noon game. So Chicago, and remember we just talked about this, Chicago will be traveling to Los Angeles, to the far, obviously to the West Coast, playing a late night West Coast team on the West Coast schedule, then turning around, getting on their plane, coming back to their hometown of Chicago. They're probably not going to actually get back home until 2 or 3 in the morning, Monday morning. I'm not sure if they're going to actually practice that day or not, because I do know some teams will take that day off just because it's essentially like a travel day for them. They've been traveling and really not resting for that entire weekend for the most part. And then the NFL's off day is Tuesday, so they won't actually begin implementing their plans and doing walkthroughs and all that kind of stuff until Wednesday. And then on top of that, now they're having to come back. I'm sorry. It's going to be, they play Monday night, so then they would not get home until Tuesday, and then they won't walk through until Wednesday. So then they'll turn around and play Sunday, and not just play Sunday, but they will play first thing Sunday at noon. They're going to be in that first slate of games. So while the Bengals at Chicago might not seem like a really appealing game for you to put some money on, the Bengals are in a good spot here because Chicago is getting caught at a bad time. So again, not the reason to go throw money on it right this second, but be aware of it, and when week 2 comes around, kind of start your handicapping with that game if you can. Next is Falcons with the Bucks. We have a Thursday night team playing Sunday, so this is kind of the opposite. So we have the team who played on Thursday who gets that mini bye week. They get the extra 3 days of rest, and then they're going to be playing the following Sunday against a team who played that last Sunday. It's only week 2, so it shouldn't be a huge deal. But the Bucks do have a few extra days, a little bit of a rest advantage going into that game. Cowboys at Chargers, same thing. The Cowboys played that Thursday night, so they'll have a little bit of a rest advantage on the Chargers. The one thing I will say about the Cowboys, though, is that they are going to, obviously they're in Dallas, they're going to fly all the way out to the East Coast to play in Tampa in Florida, come back home, then a few days later get back on the plane, fly the other direction to Los Angeles to go play the Chargers. So they're going to go literally coast to coast, back-to-back weeks, and then come back home for the week 3 home game. That being said, though, just kind of keep that in mind. So that one I really don't want to touch, not just because the Cowboys are kind of unpredictable, but secondly, it's because they get the advantage of having the extra few days rest, but then it's kind of negated by this weird travel that they're doing. So let's keep going. Next one is going to be the Chiefs at the Ravens. So again, we have the Monday night team in the... Sorry, one second. In the Ravens, sorry, I had to double check myself, but in the Ravens playing against the Chiefs. So these guys who played on Monday night, again, having to turn around, and they actually went to Las Vegas. So they're traveling from Baltimore to Las Vegas, turning around, same deal, same spiel I just went through, guys. They're going back home. Again, they won't really be able to walk through anything until Wednesday, and then they're going to be hosting the Chiefs. So, of all teams, really, the Chiefs is when you have your short prep week. Not a good spot for the Ravens. So, in case you weren't already going to do this, having the Chiefs to cover the Ravens is probably going to be a good bet. The Chiefs can get overinflated, and that kind of messes with their, against the spread record. But this is one of those times where I think you probably still be on the right side by laying some points with the Chiefs. Next here, though, we're going to go into week 3. We have Ravens at Lions. The Ravens, again, they're the Sunday night team when they play the Chiefs. So the Sunday night team playing away at noon the following Sunday. So not only do they play the Chiefs on short prep week, but they're playing them Sunday night. So then they got to get up Monday, and then they're going to go get ready for that following week, essentially be traveling by Saturday to play the Lions on Sunday. So obviously in this case the Ravens are still the better team, but as far as scheduling is concerned, it's a good opportunity for the Lions to catch the Ravens on this like weird travel cycle that they've already gone through within the first 3 weeks of the season. Next, though, is the Colts and Titans. So this is the first that we're going to see of this trend, but we're going to see it a couple more times throughout the season. So teams that have 3 consecutive road games cover in game 1 56% of the time. The Colts do start a 3-game road stretch with week 3. So week 3, 4, and 5, they will be on the road. First game is against the Titans. And statistically, the Colts should cover that game. The Colts should be covering 56% of the time, like it says. Now, again, like all things, not going to go bet this on just this one stat, but it is a good spot to start with and something to keep in mind, not just for week 3, but for week 4 and 5, because there are some other against the spread numbers that we can use when we have this particular scenario of a team being on the road 3 weeks in a row, and we'll get into that as we see them again. But also the Packers at the 49ers for week 3, and this is another late West Coast game. So again, it's not an East Coast team, but the Packers are far enough away to where this should be making a difference, especially because they're playing on a late night game. Let's take a look and see what else they had, though. And also, that's what I thought. So we also had the Packers playing Monday night previously. So in week 2, they play on Monday Night Football, and then they're going to be turning around and playing on Sunday, and playing Sunday night, again, very late. So they do have a slight rest disadvantage coming in playing off of that the Monday night game previously, and then they're going to be asked to play super late at night on Sunday. So both of those signs point to the 49ers having a pretty good schedule advantage for that particular game, and this might be a good time to hop on them, because depending on how the Packers start, and again, assuming that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, you're probably going to get a good number with the 49ers. I could definitely see them being a home dog in this one, and you can take those points, or you can tease it, or you can take the money line, whatever you want to do to kind of take advantage of this spot the scheduling is going to give you. Going into week 4, Panthers at the Cowboys. So the Cowboys, they did play on the Monday night prior to this, but aside from that, they played Monday at home. But as I mentioned earlier, week 1 they go to Tampa, week 2 they go to Los Angeles, week 3 they play at home on a Monday night. Then they have a short rest week because they're not going to, again, obviously Monday they played, so it's one less day for them to rest. Then they're going to be asked to play the Panthers. So while they do get to play at home 2 times in a row, it's still kind of just a bad spot for them, not only because of the first 2 weeks of going coast to coast, but then to have one less day to prep and to get your team ready and to rest, playing against the Panthers. The Panthers, I mean, obviously everybody knows Christian McCaffrey, right? If you know this, if you're listening to this video, you know Christian McCaffrey. The Cowboys are terrible at stopping the run, and Christian McCaffrey should just be tearing those guys up. And if you have not already bought it, the Warren Sharp's book came out today, and I believe he still has his preseason or like early bird pricing going on. The reason I bring that up, though, is because he has McCarthy ranked as the 19th overall coach, which, if you're asking me, I think that's even being a little too generous. And the only reason I even want to mention that is because Mike McCarthy is not the type of coach that can bring in adjustments and preparation for any team on, less than the 7 days that he's usually given. But aside from that, I really don't think he's going to be able to do anything about stopping Christian McCaffrey. And so this is one of those times I think the Panthers has a great advantage, not only schedule-wise, but also just because of coaching. Let's keep going in, though. So week 4, Colts at Dolphins. So again, going to the Colts, this is our second week on the road, and teams with 3 consecutive road games cover the game 2, the middle game, only 44% of the time. So the Dolphins, again, statistically, have a 56% chance of covering this game. Week 5 is Patriots at Texans. And when we get here again, we see the Sunday night team playing away at noon the following Sunday. So Patriots are going to play Sunday night in week 4 and then be asked to travel and play Sunday noon week 5. So obviously the Patriots are a better team than the Texans on paper, but it is a good spot for the Texans. Week 5 as well, Dolphins at the Bucs, same thing. So the Buccaneers play the Patriots week 4 Sunday night. Kind of the Tom Brady revenge thing for Sunday night. If you're looking forward to it, great. It'll happen week 4. But week 5, They're going to be asked to again get ready to play at noon after they played the late night Sunday game the week before. Browns at Chargers is also in week 5. And here we have the Monday night team playing the Sunday game. So the Chargers play Monday night in week 4. They're going to then take on the Browns week 5 with that short rest week. So a little bit of a rest disadvantage. And when you're playing against a team like the Browns, who's just a physical, running, we're going to grind you into the ground kind of team, that extra day of rest is really going to make a difference, especially because now we're already into week 5. Week 1 and week 2 of the season, the rest days do matter, but I'd be the first one to tell you, as the season continues and as we get further and further into just, wearing and tearing on bodies, you're going to have these rest days matter more and more. So week 5, Browns seem to be in a really good spot, and that could be kind of almost a pickup game depending on what the Chargers do to start the season. Next, though, we have the Bears at Raiders. Again, Monday night team playing the following Sunday game. And in that case, it is the Raiders that played the Chargers Monday night. So the Bears are going to have the advantage, 1 day of a rest advantage on that one. And next is the Colts at the Ravens in week 5. This is their 3rd consecutive road game. Again, going back to the Colts. And in game 3, they should only cover 46% of the time. The Ravens, just on paper, are a better team than the Colts, but that combined with the consecutive road games and really at that point probably just being tired of being on the damn plane already is going to really lead me to take the Ravens. Obviously, I haven't put anything down on that game yet, but when it comes time, I'm going to really be looking and targeting that particular game. I could see that being a slight line one way or the other. It's probably going to be something like Ravens -3. Chargers at Ravens is going to be week 6. So now we have the Monday night team playing the following Sunday. So the Ravens do play the Colts Monday night. So they're going to turn around and play Sunday against the Chargers. Again, rest disadvantage for the Ravens. That's going to help the Chargers come into week 6. Next is the Vikings at the Panthers, also week 6. And this is a weird stat, and this is something very team specific. The Vikings are 0-16-1 when they play winning teams outdoors. So Panthers do have an outdoor field. If the Panthers are a winning team, meaning they are over 500, they're like 3-2 or 4-1 or whatever the case is. By the time this matchup happens, I'm looking to play the Panthers. It seems very arbitrary, and I'm sure you're like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Keep this in mind, and the reason I say that this is kind of important is because the Vikings love to run the ball. They love establishing this ground game, and that can be hard to do on a sloppy field, even if it's not raining. Outdoor fields just have a tendency to be a little bit slower than indoor turf. So that is, at least my rationale and reasoning for why this is. As long as the Panthers are a winning team, I'm going to really be looking at the Panthers come week 6. Bengals at Lions is our next one. And this is the Bengals starting off with their 3 consecutive road game stretch. So that first week, again, should be 56% of the time we have that team covering. So the Bengals have the advantage going into week 6 against what is probably going to be a pretty bad Lions team. Rams at Giants, also week 6. Thursday night team playing on Sunday. So the rest advantage is going to be working in the favor of the Rams. So they have a couple extra days to rest, and they're going to be going against the Giants. So Rams should just match up pretty well there. Chiefs at Washington. Chiefs played the Sunday night previously. Now they're going to be traveling for the Sunday noon game. So it's, again, a little bit of a rest disadvantage there for them. Wouldn't worry too much about that with the Chiefs, though. Next, Broncos at Browns. So this is a next Thursday night game that really presents an opportunity for us. So the Browns, being a home team that is expected to be an above 500 team, should win this game 87% of the time. That being said, who knows what the line's going to be? Hopefully it's something, not crazy. It's not like Browns -17 or something. Depends what the Broncos do between now and then, obviously. But come week 7, Thursday night game, be prepared to jump on the Browns, especially when the lines first come out. Because that line, I can tell you with Thursday night, tends to have a lot of variance as soon as the line comes out. So if the lines come out like Sunday at 7 or Sunday at midnight, depending on what book you're looking at. You can totally see this game going from Browns like -6 to Browns -7.5 by the time you wake up the next morning. So be ready to jump on that one. Week 7 as well, those Bengals at Ravens. Bengals, this is their second game, so they would only be covering 44% of the time. Ravens, again, I would probably be looking to go that way anyways, but with the better team advantage as well as the scheduling advantage, the Ravens are definitely going to be a good pick for me that week as well as for you. We have the Chiefs and Titans also playing in Week 7. Titans did play the Monday night before. Now they're going to be asked to play at Sunday at noon. So again, you don't even have the couple extra hours of prep or sleep time or rest time. They're going to be asked to go first thing Sunday against the Chiefs. So that's 2 times the Chiefs really get the advantage of rest and kind of preparation. Even if it's not very much, they're getting that advantage twice. So I don't know if the schedulers are trying to help them out, but if they are, guys, they don't need it. Next, so Eagles at the Raiders. This Thursday night team is now playing Sunday, so the Raiders are that Thursday night game from Week 6. Now the Eagles are going to come in, they're going to play them on Sunday. The Eagles play Thursday night, and then they're going to be asking to play Sunday at the Raiders, so the Eagles have that little bit of a rest advantage. Bears at the Bucks, Thursday night team, now playing Sunday, so the Bucks did play Thursday against the Eagles. Now they're going to be turning around playing the Bears, so again, they also have rest advantage. So this is another time for the Bucks. I believe this is the second or possibly third time within the first 7 weeks where they do have a rest advantage, preparation advantage going into the game. Colts at the Niners, the next one. So Colts at the Niners, again, this is the very late game Sunday, and the Colts will be traveling to San Francisco to play a late West Coast game. Again, just a good spot for any West Coast team in that situation. But we also have the Saints traveling to go play against the Seahawks. I believe that's going to be the Monday night game. But either way, the Saints are going to be asked to travel, not cross-country quite, but close enough to where it's going to make a difference to play that late Monday night game against what should be a good Seahawks team. Week 8, and we have another consecutive game here. So this is the Bengals with their 3rd consecutive road game. Again, this one they should only be covering 46% of the time. Now they are playing the Jets. And so this is a kind of a rare situation because it's something I'm probably going to stay away from. And I even marked it to kind of remind myself later on. The Jets, unless Robert Saleh can turn his team around in 1 year, which, I mean, it's possible, right? It's the NFL. I'm not betting on it. I don't think they're going to be a very good team this year. And I'm sure most of you out there don't either. And it's not the coaching. I think that Adam Gase was the problem, and I think Robert Saleh could be the answer moving forward. So I don't want to blame him just yet for any bad team or any bad play that's going to happen this year. It's just strictly a talent and front office issue at this point. They just don't have the right pieces, and they're just totally in rebuild mode. So I can see the Bengals coming into this game as the favorites, and in that case, if you're following this trend of the schedule advantage, you would want to take the Jets at the points. The problem is, I have a rule for myself, and I think a lot of you should follow this. Never, ever, ever bet an underdog that you do not believe can outright win. You should not ever tell yourself, I think this team is bad, I think they're going to lose, but I don't think they're going to lose by that much. That is probably the best way to lose your money when it comes to betting football. I don't care what line you see out there. If you don't think the team has any chance of, winning this game, just pass on by. I don't care if they give you, Jets plus 24. Don't touch it. Don't touch it, because football, it seems like a lot of points. It really does, until the first half ends, 21-0. And now you're like, oh, come on, give me something. Score a field goal, score something here. And then, by the fourth quarter, they're down like 35-3, and you're there wondering like, oh my God, why did I do this? Why did I bet on the terrible team? Just don't do it to yourself. Just keep on going by. Don't be tempted. It's going to be there. I'm telling you, just stay away. Just keep going. Next is the Bucks at the Saints. So this is another spot where the Saints, again, only cover 36% of the time at home. So that's one reason we have going in our favor here. But next, The Saints also played away the Monday night before, so then they had to travel again off Tuesday. They don't really get to implement anything until Wednesday, and now they're going to ask to be played on Sunday against the Buccaneers, defending champions, Tom Brady, all that stuff you already know. But essentially, they're going to have like 3 days to really implement their plan, get everything going, get the walkthroughs done. And this isn't like an early season game. This isn't like, well, it's week 2, so we spent, half the preseason kind of getting prepared and implementing some things that we knew we were going to have to use for week 2 or this particular opponent. No, this is week 8. So the Saints haven't really had a time to stop and prepare for this game. There's no, previous implementation. There might be injuries at that point. Either way, though, they're going to have like 3 days to get ready for the Bucs. So another spot you're going to see, and this is probably going to be a closer line, especially if the Saints are, somewhat decent without Drew Brees. Just be prepared to jump on the Bucs early before the lines get too terrible. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's the first 8 weeks of scheduling and advantages. The next one here, and it's the only other time that I was able to find, at least, where there is a consecutive road team, was the Cowboys and the Saints. Or I'm sorry, the Cowboys in general. So Cowboys week 13 through 15. And the first one is the Saints, and the second one is Washington. I was saying, sorry. And the third one is the Giants. So they'll be traveling 3 times in a row. Same thing, guys. So first game kind of has the advantage of being, hyping everybody up, getting ready for this road trip, kind of getting everybody together, and they're typically prepared for that first game to go out, put on a good show, execute, hopefully come away with the win, and also cover the spread. So that Saints game, again, just going strictly off of numbers, Cowboys should cover that game 56% of the time. But then the next 2 games against Washington and the Giants, they should be not covering. Not to say anything about straight up wins. These are just strictly against the spread covers. So that all being said, again, I can make another video if this was helpful, if you guys feel like you need it. But the week 9 through 17 or 18 this year is really going to be the same scenarios and the same situations that we're looking for to take advantage of. So if you want to look through the schedule yourself, or if you want to see if there's anything else out there that can kind of give you these advantages as they're going on, feel free to do so. If you want the second video, like, comment, subscribe below. Just let me know. I'll do the research. I will let you know if you're going to go at this yourself, as far as just finding these little scheduling, quirks and advantages. It takes some time. So don't get frustrated. Don't think you're going to do it in like 2 minutes and just keep going. It's going to take some time. If you really want to drill something down, or if you really want to minimize your time input, what I would say is find a handful of teams that you really want to follow. It could be a team that you yourself are interested in, or a team that you think is going to be really good. I have 8 teams that I really, really want to follow, and I want to watch every game, every minute of, get as much information as I can. And those are the teams that I think are the best 8 teams in the NFL this year. And I'll release another video with that information. But I would advise you do the same thing. Find a handful of teams. It can be 4, it can be 8, it can be 2. Just enough to kind of give you something to watch every week. And then they will introduce you to other teams as they play other teams. And once you can really get that 1 or 2 teams down, then you'll be able to expand onto others, and you'll be able to also find all the little quirks with their schedules, their injuries, coaching, all that kind of stuff, that much easier, that much faster, because you're only watching a handful of teams instead of trying to keep up with all of them. So hopefully, guys, this was informative. Hopefully you saw a game or 2 that you want to take advantage of, put some money down on. Keep an eye on the lines. They are coming out. They already have the week 1 lines out for the most part. But as we get more information on starters and quarterbacks and all kind of stuff, preseason stuff, training camp injuries, you're going to see the lines move. So keep an eye on it. It is a 24/7 business. Thank you for any subscriptions out there, for any likes, any comments, guys. I really appreciate it. But have a good day and stay tuned for the next one.